Hello everybody! It's been a while since we had a face-to-face, and today when I was on the way home I was thinking to myself, it is my 15th year in the media industry, and I thought what better way to celebrate than to give you the full, unadulterated truth of my journey from the time that I was a freelancer all the way till I joined MediaCorp, all the way to Food King and Night Owl Cinematics, and all the way till now when I am an independent solo content creator. Are you ready? Let's go for a ride. I started work in the media industry at the tender age of just 21 years old. I was a polytechnic student and I was working part-time at the airport as a customer service officer with Singapore Tourism Board. So I was the guy at the counter where I would recommend you the tourist attractions that you should go to if you are visiting Singapore. But I needed something that would pay me more than $9 an hour. And so I was looking and looking until one day as I was giving the announcements in church, one of my friends came up to me and said, "You're quite funny when you give the announcements. Why don't you try auditioning for TV and film?" And I was like, you know what? Sounds like something interesting that I could probably do, and it's probably going to pay more than $9 an hour. So at that time, there was this thing called Asian Actors Database where there would be a list of auditions, and basically any audition and any role and casting that said male 20s Chinese, I would go and apply. And so my first ever audition of my life was actually McDonald's. Yes, it was an audition for a Filet-O-Fish advertisement, but here's the one problem. It was in Chinese. So let me ask you, do you know how to say Filet-O-Fish in Chinese? Qing Chong Qing. Yeah, correct. Exactly. So obviously I bombed that audition, but I continued auditioning anyway, and within 2 weeks, I booked myself my first ever job as the main show host of a kids science show on Octo called the Mad Science Manual. This show was my first ever project, and first of all, I want to start by sharing that I'm so grateful till this day to the founders of that production company because I had a co-host, and they actually told me that my co-host was getting paid more than I was, and they wanted to do the right thing to match my pay. So I got a pay increment that matched my co-host pay even before I started the job, and I really appreciated that. That was a immediate green flag and an example of somebody showing me how to do business with integrity even from the start. So on that show, we were doing all these crazy science experiments that were wacky, zany, and completely insane, all to really teach science to kids who are watching Octo. And I had so much fun, but particularly on that show, it made me fall in love with hosting, and it made me realize that this is something that I can do, and I actually feel very, very joyful doing. I remember in particular, right, there was one take, right, where I was just joking around and the director said, "Hey, Egan, can you do that again but in a British accent and just make it funny?" And so we went for that take, and I remember everybody behind the camera was laughing, and when they cut, everybody gave me an applause, and that is a core memory that I'll never forget. And I remember thinking, I think there's something here for me that I found. I love doing it, I'm somewhat good at it, and I want to do more. That show was 16 episodes, and after that I continued my freelance life, which led me to a competition on MediaCorp, particularly 987. At that time, it was called 987 TV Star. So it's different from Radio Star. They are looking for somebody to front their YouTube channel. So yes, that's how essentially I got started on YouTube. I won that competition, and I got $5,000 as the prize. And along with that, I got to work to create videos for 987's YouTube channel. I remember I did it for 2 years. I produced the videos for $100 per video, and at the end of 2 years they were like, "Hey, the company's going in a totally different direction, and basically we're done, we don't need you anymore, basically you're fired lah." I remember I was quite devastated because I was like, yo, I've been creating content for you and for this channel for the last 2 years, and it's just abruptly come to an end. But I accepted my fate. I continued working as a freelancer, which led me to another competition called the Five Search. Now, the Five Search is very special because they were basically looking for the most talented human being on earth, somebody who's good with acting, hosting, and everything in between. That show was interesting because it gave me an insight and a sneak peek into like acting, doing action, all kinds of genres. I remember on that show, one of the mentors and judges, won't name names, Brian Wong, actually told me that I needed to lose weight. And I don't think he was trying to fat shame me or anything. He was really trying to position me for the 男主角 male lead type of look and role. So I really tried my best. I ran 8 km every single day until I lost about 8 to 10 kg, which took me about a month to a month and a half. And I did it. I remember then there was another shoot where we had to do a fight sequence, and me fighting. Even on the finals, all my friends were there for the live recording, and a week before they told me, hey, we want you to make a grand entrance, and what we have in mind for you is to do fire spinning. I was like, guys, please, we've been through enough. But lo and behold, I came out spinning a torch. So I came in runner-up for that competition. It's like, wow, how hard am I trying? I already won one competition, I'm coming up runner-up for the other, and I got a contract with MediaCorp. Now, on paper, this sounds great, but that contract is where they'll take a huge cut of my pay at that time, and because I went through the competition, right, voluntarily, I wasn't paid for 6 months of filming. During this time as well, I was in uni. So there will be times where I'll be like ending my shoot at 11 or 12 a.m. and my exam is the next day at 8 a.m. So I will reach home and study and cram for like 12 to 2 a.m. fall asleep, wake up at 6 a.m., try and jam as much content as I can into my brain, go for the exam, and eventually failed it. I had to take and retake many of my subjects, but it really taught me grit, resilience, hard work, and it was the price that I paid for actually trying to pay for my uni, but also to try and pursue a passion that I love. So MediaCorp started and ended quite quickly for me. I remember I went for a meeting with the head of artist management, and because I was a new artist and I was completely broke, I was very nervous. So I was fumbling over my words, and I will never forget her response to me till this day. She said, next time, before you come into my office, think about what you want to say instead of wasting my time stumbling over your words. And that was when I knew that this is over. It's not going to work out. If this is how you're going to treat a new artist, this partnership is not going to work out. And not to mention, you are in the contract, you are taking like a lot of cut from me without even so much as taking a profile picture of me. So I made that decision in that meeting after she said that to me and said, can we annul the contract? And if there's one thing that MediaCorp did for me, besides casting me in the freelance shows, is that they annulled the contract, to which I am forever grateful for. So by this time I was broke, I had no more jobs, and I finally told myself it's time to let this media dream go and die completely. And I tried to convince myself that, you know, I didn't start out media with like this dream to be an actor or host. I did it because I needed to pay for my school fees, and by the time I was about to graduate, so I'm like, this is all that I needed to do. But I actually cried for like almost a month because I really loved doing it, and it felt like I was saying goodbye to something that I was good at, something that I loved doing. But lo and behold, guess who I met and became friends with at MediaCorp? Of course, Dikosh. Yes, he was a DJ at 987 FM, and so he called me one day and said, hey, Night Owl Cinematics is looking for a food show host. And by this time, I honestly had given up. But I thought, you know what's there to lose? I could just go for the free food. So I showed up on Night Owl Cinematics as a fan, and then that was kind of my audition to see if I could be a host. And then we started Food King. One day, Sylvia pulls me up to her office and she says, hey, why don't you be a producer of the show? And I thought to myself, like, in traditional media, like, a talent is just a talent. But her pitch to me was that if you become a producer, you will know the content even better, and therefore you'll be a better host. And along with this producing role, I would like to offer you partnership. And I was like, wow, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity where I get to build a food show and to have something that I can call my own together with my friends and my mentors. It was an absolute dream come true. Food King grew to an amazing success, and I worked really hard on it. As much as I always say that I'm thankful to Ryan and Sylvia for the opportunity, in 2025, I would just like to say and give myself a huge pat on the back because I worked so damn hard on that show. I was on 200 episodes, I produced most of them. I was the sales guy, the account manager, the producer, and the host. I'm the one who oversaw the edit and managed the project start to end. It was really my baby, and so as much as they gave me the platform, I just have to take ownership and say that I did a pretty damn good job myself so that it was a win-win for all of us. One of my favorite memories on Food King, I don't know if you guys remember, is the Kueh Tower episode. So for some reason, I think because Dee had a little bit to drink, but basically Dee, right, and myself could not stop laughing. Like we just caught the laughing bug and we were just heaving and laughing on set for like so much time. With Sylvia, I remember traveling with her quite a bit. I remember that we did a travelogue in Phuket and we were climbing a mountain at like 4 or 5 a.m. to wait for the sunrise. We were filming this with Zizia and Virus, and I was telling her like we really been through a lot. That was the shoot where she actually fainted on the mountain, but we didn't know. She fainted by herself and resurrected herself and continued the shoot. One of my most unforgettable memories of being in Night Owl Cinematics is my first ever partners payout. So I remember I was on holiday in Taiwan and I was crossing the road and my accountant said, "Hey, your first ever partners payout has been transferred to your bank." I opened my bank account and I saw the amount there and I started to cry. It was the first time I ever saw such an amount in my bank. And secondly, I thought to myself, after all these years of hard work, after all these years of growing up, lower income, I think I finally broken through. And after that, my first goal was to be able to pay for an entire wedding by myself. So I kid you not, I went to ask around to all my friends who were getting married, "Hey, how much does it cost to get married?" And then someone told me a rough amount. I saved up that chunk of amount and I shoved it into a bank account somewhere and it's still there. I learned so much about social media, I learned so much about content creation, and most of all, I built an audience with you. And some of you are still here today, if not from the MediaCorp days, at least from the Food King days and the NOC days, and for that I will always be grateful. Now looking back, right, I can honestly touch my heart and say that I will choose to remember the best of our times together and build on the foundation in which they have given me. That leads us to today. Today, I am a solo content creator with Shah. We started our own company called Every Good Endeavor Private Limited. And we've been on our own happily since 2022. It has been such an amazing journey. And now when I look back, I can't believe there was a time where I thought that I couldn't do this without an agency, without a company. I couldn't do this on myself, but I realized that all the experiences, all the hard work, all the difficulties, all the laughter, all the goodness, all the skills was just preparing me for my career now. I never get used to it. I am Ikan Chia from a 3-room HDB flat, which I still am. I do not take this audience, the platform that I have, for granted. We have more than 4 million views for a channel that just started in 2022. Like when I go to Japan and people are like, "Hey, Ikan," at some like 7-Eleven that is like an obscure northern armpit of Japan, I'm like, wow, this is so crazy. I never take that for granted. It still brings me so much excitement and joy. Now, instead of waiting for a big network to give me a script or to give me a program to host, I can write my own show, I can produce my own show. We've got the resources to make it happen, which is why over the last few years, I have just been trying to work towards content that I love to put out beyond food and travel, more heart-to-heart stuff where you get to have meaningful conversations. I think that if you are around my age, right, we are not only looking for where to spend our money on good food and good vacations, but we're also in a bit of a healing situation. We finally have the time and maybe the resources to go for therapy, to look at a bit of our childhood and how it's impacted our adulthood, our relationships, our mental health. And I think that's very important. And those are conversations that I want to continue to have with you. And I would really like to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for allowing me to be more than just a food and travel creator. Before I end the video, I have got some great news for you. No, I'm not attached. No, I'm not getting married. But my team and I have been working behind the scenes to bring you a brand new food show, yes, based here in Singapore, and that will be coming out very, very soon, along with our travel logs, along with our interview content. So all of this and more, I could not do it without your support. Thank you for journeying with me. Thank you for watching this video, and I will catch you in all the good stuff coming up real soon. Bye bye. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching.